Does Africa owe us its development, or the youth owe West Africa its development? L'Afrique doit-elle son développement à la jeunesse, ou la jeunesse doit-elle son développement à l'Afrique? She birthed the brightest sunshine. Prominent countries like Ghana, minerals, crude oil, timber, vegetation, and a thriving climate for agriculture is some of the mineral resources she is blessed with. To be better informed about West Africa, we will use our very own country, Togo. The moment you step on our motherland, you will see posters and people with the first phrase, Bienvenue. After the pleasantries, you will be offered variety of beer and the great food we have. The official language is French, but it has other spoken languages. The world dances Kepuhung and Atina, the hunters dance Adeu. The gross domestic product of Togo is 8,413 million in 2021. Togo has an area of 56,785 kilometers square, and the capital city is Lomé, which has one of the biggest markets in West Africa called Asigame. And for about 7 years after graduating from tertiary, I am still unemployed. My mom and younger brother died due to a failed health system. Day in, day out, we hear about embezzlement and corruption among our leaders, especially politicians and public officers. No one is held accountable. Political instability, poor education system, poverty, bad governance, and unemployment, to mention few, is the norm of the day. Is this the legacy we are creating for our future children and the next generation? Who should be blamed for these cankers? What is the way out? Whose responsibility is it to take us out of these shackles? Is it the youth or Africa? Our argument is, as youth of Togo, we believe our country owes us development. Therefore, yes, West Africa owes its youth development.
Africa owes its youth development. Because what is Africa, if not a collective of its people headed by government and the systems and structures of governance? Those systems owe to the youth an enabling environment to be and to grow. It is, however, common knowledge that our systems are riddled with corruption and bad governance. Africa owes to its youth good governance and robust policy formation. If any economic development is to be achieved, these funds intended for development should not be misused by elected leaders and public office holders, which is the widespread case in Africa and in our country, Togo, to be specific. The youth are thus left jobless, and entrepreneurship is few and far between. How can growth take place in a country when illegal activities are the order of the day? It is said that ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And while this is a laudable sentiment, it must be predicated by the creation of an enabling environment that will allow the youth to do so. Africa thus owes its youth political stability as a starter, because war and conflict has derailed the youth for so many years. Africa owes to its youth development in many areas, ranging from provision of quality education to infrastructure development, healthcare development, and the diligent use of our natural resources to benefit most rather than a few. Having established that Africa owes to us the aforementioned, we the youth, as part of the collective of Africa, also owes to it, first and foremost, a change of our mindset. We owe to Africa the responsibility to build in ourselves a sense of patriotism, a sense of continental identity, and a genuine shift from individualism towards a concerted effort for national and continental development. We also owe to Africa the responsibility of influencing others, because while changing our mindset is the starting point, impact is in replicating oneself. We as young people should check other young people who display inherently unpatriotic traits in order to avoid the current state of affairs when we in the future take up the mantle of leadership. We must speak up, because as Martin Luther King said, the ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people. We as young people shoulder the responsibility also to hold our leaders accountable, for we know that exercising our franchise is not the bus stop of our political engagement. We must indict our elected leaders. We must use avenues such as social media to gather people to stand up against oppressive leadership, as was seen in the protests that went on in 2017 in Togo for several days, demanding the former president to step down instead of modifying the constitution to allow him 2 more terms in office. Africa ultimately owes development to its youth in the sense of creating an enabling environment for us to thrive, while we in turn will use our intellect and our heart to contribute to said development.
In conclusion, we have established that to move West Africa forward, both the continent and the youth owe its development. As youth of Togo, we have proposed 3 vital points and propose also a project to help move West Africa forward. The first point is education. We must create a defined focus through peer education. Equip ourselves with substantial knowledge, identify and understand Africa's setback. We need to acquire new skills to transform ourselves and then transform our continent. The second point is nationalism. Accept the individual diverse culture. Individual interest must not overshadow the national interest. Presence about the development of our continent, gender inclusion and participation, especially in political roles, rendering voluntary and internship will help build more capacities. So now, our proposed project is termed Emergency Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Response to Vulnerable Community in Togo. The proposed project aims to respond to critical wash needs in a rural community in Togo. The project, which will be implemented within 1 month, will cover 500 households with different wash packages.